Today on Brewed in New York, we're in Rochester. This city has given birth to some of America's best-known brands. Tiny upstarts turned into industry giants.
And that's just as true in the world of beer. So we'll be taking you to breweries both big
and small
in this special episode of Brewed in New York, Rochester.
Discover even more local foods and beverages at Taste New York locations throughout the state. Whether you're at a state park, sporting event, or stopping at one of our New York welcome centers, it's never been easier to choose local and buy New York. Unilam, a family-owned business in upstate New York serving the building industry for over a century. You can spot Unilam's finely crafted timber products in breweries throughout New York State and beyond. Learn more at unilam.com. 1886 Malt House, proudly partnering with New York's finest grain growers to produce locally sourced, high-quality malt for farm and craft breweries. The Northeast Hop Alliance, farmers, brewers, and educators working together to provide high-quality, locally grown hops to craft beer consumers in New York and the Northeast.
We're standing in front of Rochester's scenic High Falls. This waterfall that sits on the Genesee River has helped move industry through the city for over 200 years.
The falls first produced power for flour mills 2 centuries ago, helping to earn Rochester's nickname, the Flour City. Later, they generated electricity for industrial titans like Kodak, which you can actually see from this footbridge.
Today, High Falls provides an inspiring backdrop for an iconic brewery that's been going strong for over 125 years. And it sits right here on the bank of the river that bears its name.
Next stop, Genesee Brewing Company.
My name is Chris Sergio. I'm the CEO of North American Breweries, proud parent of Genesee Brewing Company. We are New York State's oldest brewing company. We've been here since 1878. In fact, we're the second oldest brewery in the entire United States. Everybody you meet who comes through these doors has a story about their experience with Genesee, whether it's with their grandparents, whether it's with their father, whether it's in the areas on the canal that they've experienced, or it's even the memorabilia that somehow finds its way down in that bar in their basement. They all have a story or a connection.
Genesee is indeed a cultural icon of the Northeast and the 6th largest brewery in the country. Known for its original Genesee Lager, Genny Light, and of course Cream Ale, introduced in 1960, the brand has long been synonymous with consistent, easy-drinking beer for hardworking folk. For decades, Genesee beer was well known, but the brewery wasn't accessible. As the craft beer revolution swept through upstate New York, the owners recognized the value of having a gathering place to interact with customers. They decided to create a destination that would celebrate their history, but also add small batch craft beer to their offerings.
The Genesee Brewhouse Pilot Batch Brewery was really a wonderful thing that the previous owners put together. They saw the opportunity in craft beer growing, they saw the opportunity in brew houses emerging, but more importantly, they knew that this is the heart of the Genesee Brewing Company, this site, this location right here in the High Falls area. And to build a place where everybody could come and enjoy the history right next to the brewery and really help this area of town go through a rebirth was just wonderful foresight.
I like to joke that, the large brewery was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Nobody really ever came out. A lot of workers went in and you saw trucks leave. We weren't in touch with our local city except through our employees. And so now they have a place to come and they have a place to learn about what Genesee is all about. And then we get to express our passion to all of our visitors.
Passion doesn't even begin to describe how pilot brewmaster Dean Jones feels about his job. He's one of the most charismatic brewers you'll ever meet, and his enthusiasm about his craft is contagious.
My favorite tagline is, never trust a skinny brewmaster. Would you trust a skinny chef? I love food, I love beer, and that is my life's passion, and I couldn't be any happier in a place where I work and with the job that I do. Being a pilot brewery is kind of fun because you get to expose a lot of people to new things. I mean, Genesee was a large brewery that made 6 different beers throughout its history, and now we're changing that. We've got over 100 SKUs in process and doing really a lot of fun things. What's nice here at the Pilot Brewery is we do have a captive audience. We have our taste bar that all goes to charity. So people come in, taste the things that I've developed here in the Pilot Brewery, and then we get feedback from those customers. And if it sells well or it does really well with those customers, we'll end up considering sending that out to the market. We try to pair with local artisans that have cool products that we can use in our beers and get inventive. Right here in Rochester, we had the #1 salted caramel in the nation, which is Hedonist Artisan Chocolates down in the South Wedge. So I bought it and it was covered in this sea salt from Seneca Lake, and I thought this is gonna make like a great porter or stout. So I bought about $60 worth of chocolate, came back and started playing with it. Look at all the ingredients that went into those salted caramels, look at how I could apply that to my brewing process and come up with this great beer that was so well received in a lot of states where it was released.
As a pilot brewery, staying cutting edge and inventive means never getting too comfortable and knowing that there will always be a certain amount of subjectivity in how your recipes are received.
We came up with a honey lilac IPA for the Rochester Lilac Festival, and I'd never brewed with lilacs before, so it was kind of interesting to put lilacs in the kettle. And that beer came out and we got everything from a 5-star rating to a 1-star rating. Some people just loved it, the complexity of lilac and honey together. And I laughed because there was comments on there like, smells like my dead grandmother. And it was really a lot of fun. So that was innovation at its finest and its worst.
Even with the occasional mixed review, there's no doubt that Rochester loves all things Genesee. And Jenny loves Rochester right back. The brewery has employed generations of Rochester families and is keenly aware of its role in the success of the local community.
Every single day I get a Jenny story. They'll say, my grandfather worked here, my aunt worked here. We've had employees that have been here for 45 years.
It started out with my dad working here right after Prohibition, and my 2 brothers both worked here. I started here, then my son started here approximately 6 years ago.
I definitely feel like the brewery feels more like a community or a family. Everyone's really friendly with each other.
When you take care of your community's gonna take care of you. We have a program called Tap It Forward. We bring our employees and our partners into the community to make Rochester a more beautiful place for a lot of our citizens. We really believe that everybody wins when you make great quality beer. So for us, it's really important to work with all the local craft brewing companies. We bring them into our facilities. We let them use our analytics equipment. We work with them on sourcing their ingredients.
We basically started a 585 Brewers Collaborative group. We were already hanging out and drinking beer anyway, so we just put an official name to it. We want this area to have great beer, and these are our brothers. And it's not competition, it's fun. We're all drinking each other's beer and enjoying it. It really is a family community that we've built here, which is just awesome.
When everybody has a great beer experience, they're gonna come to this region. We believe we're the best, oldest brewery in the country, and when you combine tradition and heritage with innovation, you get great beer that people want to see. And that's why we have over 300,000 people coming to the Genesee Brew House every year right now in Rochester, New York.
We've got the best view of the falls, we've got great beer, we've got great food. Everybody's happy to be here, you can tell. So when you come in, everyone has this great Genesee experience, and we want to share this with as many people as we can.
Craft 101.
This show's about craft beer, right? So at some point it would probably be a good idea to talk about what we mean by craft beer. Some associate the term with richer, more full-bodied beers rather than lighter, mass-produced styles. But the Brewers Association of America defines a craft brewery more specifically as small, independent, and traditional. Let's break that down. By small, they mean an annual production of 6 million barrels of beer or less. That's still pretty big. To put this into perspective, here are the annual production numbers of some of our larger New York State craft breweries. So as you can see, there's still plenty of room for growth within the term small. By independent, the Brewers Association suggests that less than 25% of a craft brewery should be controlled or owned by the interest that is not itself a craft brewer. So no selling out, at least no more than 25%. Lastly, craft breweries are traditional, and by this, the Brewers Association means that the majority of beers a brewer produces should derive their flavor from traditional or innovative brewing ingredients and their fermentation. So, no funky flavored malt beverages. Sorry, Zima. It's actually good that the definition of craft beer put forth by the Brewers Association leaves room for interpretation, because it allows beer lovers everywhere to add their own spin to the term. Regardless of how you define it, most people agree, craft beer is downright delicious. Now that we've visited Rochester's oldest and most established brewery, what do you think about visiting a smaller brewery that just opened its doors?
Sounds good to me.
Now let me ask you this, what has 3 heads and serves beer?
I don't know, what?
These guys. This brewery, with an interesting origin story and an even more interesting name, opened its doors in 2016 with a special visit from a champion of the New York craft beer industry, Governor Cuomo.
This is the new economy. It's entrepreneurs who have courage, have vision.
People will come here from all over to sample our beers and hang out and have a great time.
And come they did. These savvy business owners were able to predict their brewery would draw tourism because they had actually been perfecting their craft and building their brand for more than 6 years. I talked with co-owner Jeff Dale to learn more about how Three Heads found its groove. Tell me about Three Heads Brewing. That name is very interesting. There's got to be a story behind that.
Yes, totally. It sort of goes back to when we first started, we always would listen to music, have parties when we would do our home brews, and it was always a big battle on who would get control of the iPod. Todd and I are both fish heads, and Dan is a deadhead. And so when it became time for naming the brewery, it was just an obvious choice, the Three Heads.
Perfect. Well, you guys started in 2010, and you guys use contract brewers.
Yes.
For people who don't know what that is, could you explain?
Sure. Back in the day, Todd and I were both stay-at-home dads. Dan actually was a vice president of a real estate company. We didn't have the ability to just jump in with both feet, open up a production brewery. So we approached custom brew crafters and we said, hey, we have the recipes. If you brew them, we'll distribute them. As soon as we put our first beers out, they just started selling. And then it just got to a point where we could only supply 10 bars because they bought all the beer we were making. And that really sort of forced the hand where it was like, okay, it's time, we need to build our own place so that we can actually increase our capacity, keep up with the demand. It took off.
Well, I love that, and I also love Rochester. This is the first time I've been here. You got a lot of great, interesting neighborhoods. How did you pick this neighborhood?
We had been looking around at different locations. Some of them were in the outskirts of Rochester, but we really wanted to be in the city proper. We come in here to the neighborhood of the arts. All this great artistic things going on with music, with, just art, jewelry. And it just made sense because here we are making artistic beers. And it's nice because we feel like we've been able to be a part of this rebirth in this neighborhood.
Speaking of artistic, your label is beautifully done. You've got some great artwork. How did you come about finding all those things?
So, funny story. Todd and I are actually in a band. We were playing a festival and our acoustic guitarist goes, hey, my brother-in-law does art. He's gonna do a poster for us. He did one of the most eye-catching posters I've ever seen in my life. From that day forward, all we ever do is give him the name of the beer, and within like 2 to 3 weeks, he comes back and goes, here's the label. He really has a fun sort of 70s hippie vibe in his artwork. We actually just won a contest in USA Today for having the best beer label in the country. He knows who we are and what we're trying to go for. It's a match made in heaven.
I love it. And you mentioned that music is really important to you guys, but you also play in a band. How is your love of music reflected in this business?
We do music here Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Just like we have distinct beers, we want to have distinct music. The goal is to reach out and try and get not just the best in Rochester, but we try and get regional bands. We actually have a band later this week that's coming from Trinidad. But it just, to me, music and beer is just a perfect pairing.
Hello, Rochester. So happy to be here at Three Heads Brewing for the first time. I hear they have some beer. You might want to check that out. I know I have.
It's clear the combination of music and art is responsible for this brewery's funky vibe, and all Three Heads enjoy striking the right chord with their customers.
Three Heads Brewing is a place for fun and music and good beer.
We feel like live music is a great way to let people really come in and have a great time and leave thinking that that was their best night ever.
Music soothes the soul. Music brings people together, just like the beer.
But make no mistake, this brewery is guided by one overarching philosophy, beer first. And considering the high demand for their products across the region, Three Heads has its priorities straight.
It's a passion. We do feel and love beer with all our heart.
We want flavors to bounce out and hit you over the head and be like, wow, that's an amazing taste. Not just simple, there's nuances and flavors, just like works of art.
Okay, enough talking about these works of art. It was time to taste some of these storied brews.
This is a beautiful bar, and this is a beautiful flight of beer, and I would love to know what each one of these are.
We'll start right off with our Noda Pilsner. It is a beer named after the neighborhood of the arts where we are located. It's meant to be a nice, light, crisp Pilsner, just perfect for sitting on the patio on a summer day.
Well, it delivers on its promise. It has a wonderful bite, and it's very crisp. What about the second beer here?
This is our Little Juice Coupe. It is an India Pale Lager. India Pale Ales have a tendency to be a little hoppy, but what's nice is the lagers bring the hops to the forefront in a little different way, so it's not as maybe bitter as some IPAs.
Yeah, I can taste that right now. I'm gonna have a second sip if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind.
That's wonderful. Now, what do we have here?
This is our flagship beer. This is the Kind IPA. It's a nice West Coast style IPA. It's meant to be very citrusy. We do bitter, but it's not painful.
I can taste the citrus. It's wonderful. And finally, what's this fourth beer?
Well, we're going completely left field now. This is the Rochestafarian. It is a Scotch ale. It's just going to be a little bit more malt forward, not hoppy like the other ones. It's just going to be a nice, clean.
Oh, I love that. It has such a deep taste to it, too. It's wonderful. Well, now that you let me taste your delicious beer, I would love to see how it's made.
From my personalized tasting to a guided tour, this three-headed brewery rolled out the red carpet for me. I guess it's all in a day's work for the hosts of a destination that's keeping New York's craft beer revolution alive and well.
I couldn't brew anywhere else. This is home to us. There's great beer being made here in New York, and that's on the climb, and we want to be a part of that. And now that you're seeing we have 10 to 20 breweries right in the city of Rochester, that it's really becoming a great place to do a little day trip and hit 3 or 4, you know, get your Uber and go to a couple places. But we have seen a lot of people coming in from out of town to visit Three Heads. If we can bring smiles on people's faces, then we know we're doing a good job.
Traveling to discover new sights and tastes is what beer tourism is all about. But plan ahead to use public transportation, ride sharing, or a designated driver. Never drink and drive.
I'm in the South Wedge neighborhood of Rochester, an area first developed by Erie Canal workers in the 1820s. The neighborhood fell on hard times in the 70s, but over the last 10 years, it's undergone a rapid revitalization. Now it's a hip neighborhood known for its vibrant, diverse community. And where there's community revitalization, you'll usually find a craft brewery. Today, I'm at Swiftwater Brewing on Mount Hope Avenue. The name Swiftwater is a reference to the whitewater kayaking passion that commanded founder Andy Cook's attention prior to his brewing career. But once Andy discovered the art of making beer, he was ready to test the waters of business ownership in the town he calls home.
I've lived in Rochester for the last 15 years, and I really love the city. And I really felt that Rochester needed not just one more brewery, but maybe like a dozen more breweries. So I really wanted to be a part of that.
Andy's unique upbringing is responsible for the emphasis Swiftwater places on sourcing local, fresh ingredients for their beers.
I grew up on a dairy farm, and it's just incredibly hard work. I have immense respect for farmers. So anything that we can source locally, we do. We have a little garden in our backyard, and my mom has a greenhouse, and she grows quite a bit of the ingredients that we serve at Swiftwater. We use whatever New York State hops we can get. Our malt is grown on my parents' dairy farm, which is really cool, and then we ship it to Pioneer Malting in Rochester, and then they malt it and send it back to us. So from ground to glass, if you have a beer at Swiftwater, the malt has traveled under 100 miles. And the other really cool part of that is that we have control over the process all the way from the seed And it really lets us give feedback directly to the people who can make a difference in our product.
Swiftwater attributes its rapid success to the support it receives from family, friends, and the community. In fact, many of these folks helped Andy construct the brewery itself. By his side since the beginning has been friend and co-owner Chris Perry. Chris started out tending the bar and managing the staff at Swiftwater and has become an accomplished brewer along the way.
For someone who is not familiar with Swiftwater, what sets the brewery apart?
I think that we have sort of a farm-to-table type of feel, both for the beverage aspect and for the food as well. Even though it's a small menu as far as food is concerned, it is very sophisticated and very flavorful, very healthy, and so I think that draws a lot of attention to us. It's also a great neighborhood staple, and so we get a lot of neighborhood traffic. We get everything from working professionals to families to college kids. I think we just offer something that's very inviting, and encourages people from all walks of life to come and give it a try.
I gave myself a little tour of the South Wedge, and it looks very distinct. It feels very different from the rest of Rochester, and it seems like a really cool neighborhood.
Yeah, we have a lot of young people, a lot of people who have been here in the neighborhood for 50 years. So we have, I think, a rare opportunity here that we have a very close-knit community that's very interested in making that community better. So we have a lot of shops. There's a great tea leaf bar right on South Avenue. There are a lot of great places to eat, yoga studios, wine stores.
A lot of bars carrying Swiftwater?
In the neighborhood, they better be.
Being an accessible gathering place is a critical mission for Swiftwater. The founders were inspired by a concept in community building called the Third Place and felt it was vital to bring this type of neutral public space to the South Wedge.
That concept of the third place is that it's not your work and not your home. It's that communal ground where you can come and really establish culture. I really think this next wave of craft beer culture is really more about flavor and experience. And so I really wanted to build a place where people could come and talk and exchange ideas, but then also connect with your neighbors as well.
Talking with some of the people who spend time at Swiftwater, it's clear they understand what the brewery is trying to achieve, and they're all in for the experience.
There's something different for me about going to a place, being a good company. Breweries are completely different than bars to me. Like, the vibe is different. People are more engaged with each other, and I think that's why I really like that social side of it.
The atmosphere here is very open. I think a lot of people who are getting into craft beer think it's this cliquey niche, but whether you've been coming here for years or this is your first time trying craft beer, they definitely respect that and treat you with respect. It's awesome.
We're a big fan of craft beers. We try to hit up all the different places every month. Honestly, I like Swiftwater just because they have so many options and they change it up so often.
I have a coffee flavored beer, a lime one that's just called beer, and then a blonde one. So they're all really delicious and they all have their own unique flavor.
Creating a welcoming atmosphere certainly draws a crowd, but what keeps customers coming back to Swiftwater is their high-quality beer and spirit of experimentation. So before I left, I asked brewer bartender Chris to walk me through some of their favorite styles.
So we have this coffee-infused Belgian triple here, which is high ABV, Belgian style.
Yes, sir.
And you've somehow gotten coffee in there.
Yes, sir.
And it's not a dark beer.
It is not a dark beer, no.
Let's take a look at this.
It's very light in complexion, which normally surprises a lot of people. But again, you have that unmistakable coffee aroma and taste.
Oh, that is nice. I don't get any of that alcohol heat at all. What percentage is this?
7.9%.
Wow.
So the coffee will go a long way towards masking that.
So you're known for your IPAs, so I would love to try one here.
Sure.
Yeah.
So right up front here we have our flagship IPA. This was the 9th recipe that we tried. This is the one that sort of caught fire with our customer base the most.
Tell me what's in this one.
So this is just New York State base malt. It's New York State oats and New York State Munich. The hop profile is Mosaic, Simcoe, and Cascade.
And this smells so good. I mean, there's big melon and definitely juicy dank hops coming out of that like crazy.
That's what we were going for, and the Mosaic gives you sort of that sharp, kind of really citrusy or citrus rind kind of aroma and flavor, but the Simcoe and Cascade will sort of balance that out a little bit.
That is very, very good. Well, thank you so much for your time here today. It's been great to learn about the brewery and to taste the beer.
Oh, you're more than welcome, man. I had a blast doing it. Cool.
There are many great breweries in this town, but that's all the time we have for this episode of Brewed in New York.
Visit our website, brewedinNewYorkShow.com, to learn more about the brewing scene in Rochester, as well as beer tourism throughout New York State.
Matt, I'm getting a little hungry. What food goes great with beer in Rochester?
Have you ever heard of a garbage plate?
I think I'm about to find out.